What's shaking, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Gardner Art, founder and CEO of GEMS Intercontinental, an abbreviation for Gardner's English Mastery School Intercontinental, where we learn English the practical and conversational way. Well, I'm back again with another exciting episode on making and receiving phone calls. And to be very specific, I have prepared detailed slides on handling wrong numbers. So without wasting much time, let's dive in. Hi, I think you may have the wrong number. Now, this particular phrase is direct, polite, and avoids unnecessary confusion. You use this particular phrase in simple everyday situations when someone calls you by mistake. Make sure to keep your tone neutral and friendly. Don't sound irritated. Fantastic. Let's get to the next one. Sorry, I believe you have reached the wrong person. Now, this particular phrase is slightly more formal and respectful, and you use this particular phrase when the caller asks for someone else, but make sure that you are polite and use I believe to soften the correction. Fantastic. Let's get to the next one. I'm afraid you've got the wrong number. Now, this particular phrase is a classic, and you can use this in formal or polite corrections, and make sure that you stress the word afraid and be gentle, right? Just gently to sound courteous and not negative. Fantastic. Let's get to the next one. Sorry, there's no one here by that name. Now, this particular phrase is clear and helpful without over explaining. You use this particular phrase when the caller asks for someone you don't know. Make sure that you keep your response short and confident. Let's get to the next one. I think you might have dialed the wrong number. This particular phrase sounds helpful rather than dismissive. Okay? And you actually use it when the caller seems unsure, and you make sure that you use the word might to keep it polite and non-accusatory, right? Fantastic. Let's get to the next one. Sorry about what you've got. Sorry about that. You've got the wrong line. Okay, let me do that one more time. Sorry about that. You've got the wrong line. All right. Now, this particular phrase is friendly and natural, and you use it whenever you're trying to address casual conversations. Make sure that you use a light tone to keep things relaxed. Let's get to the next one. I'm sorry, this isn't Safaricom. Now, this particular phrase is direct and clarifies immediately. So when someone calls asking for a specific person or business, and you are not sure that they have called the correct line, then you use this particular phrase. So make sure that you use a polite tone and pause briefly after speaking to allow them to respond. Let's get to the next one. You have reached Gardner, not Simon. Now, this particular phrase gives clear information and reduces confusion. You say it, or rather you use it when you want to clearly correct the other person. Clearly for clarity. Okay, let's get to the next one. Hi, I think there's been a mix-up. You have called the wrong number. Now, this particular phrase acknowledges the mistake gently, and you use it when you want to sound polite and understanding, and make sure that you use a warm tone to keep it friendly. Let's get to the next one. Sorry, I don't think this is the number you're looking for. This particular phrase softens the correction and sounds so helpful, and you use this particular phrase when the caller seems unsure or confused. Now, you say it, or rather you put it out when avoiding to sound very dismissive. Okay, so avoid sounding dismissive and stay patient always. Next, I'm afraid you have reached a different number. Now, this particular phrase is polished and respectful. You use it mostly in formal or professional conversations, and the trick is to keep your voice calm and steady. Let's get to the next one. Sorry, I think you've got the wrong contact. This particular phrase uses modern professional language, and of course you can use it for business or professional contexts. And make sure that you keep your voice calm and steady when saying it, as it is great for work related calls. Let's get to the next one. There's no one here by that name. I'm sorry. Now this particular phrase is clear and polite. You say, or rather use this particular phrase when confirming the person mentioned does not exist. So make sure that you use a soft tone and end with "I'm sorry" to soften the message. Let's get to the next one. Hi, I believe you've dialed incorrectly. Now this particular phrase is professional and precise. You use this particular phrase for more formal or polite situations. Okay? And how you say it actually really matters. So you use a formal tone, as this is commonly used in business settings. Let's get to the next one. Sorry, this number isn't associated with that motive. And at the end of the day, you use it for professional or customer service settings. Make sure that you use a warm tone and speak clearly to avoid further confusion. Let's get to the next one. I'm not the This is friendly and conversational. Okay, and you can actually use it for casual conversations, but the trick is to make sure that you use a very relaxed tone. Let's get to the next one. Hi, I think you've reached the wrong it, or rather say it in general wrong number situations, and just keep it short and polite. That is a trick behind that. Let's get to the next one. Sorry, you might want to double check the number. Now, this particular phrase is helpful without being dismissive, and you actually use it when you want to guide the person on the other end of the line. So make sure that you use a very supportive. Make sure that you use a very supportive. I'm afraid that's not the correct number for James Intercontinental. Now, and clear, and you get to use it in formal or business calls, but the trick is to make sure that you pronounce the names carefully. And of course, to the last one for the day, my dear learners, apologies, I think there's been an error with the number. Now this particular phrase is very polite and non-blaming, and you use it, or rather say it, for professional or customer facing roles. And make sure that you use a gentle tone to maintain a high level of professionalism, because that is what that matters at the end of the day. Well, so up to that point, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure having you for this episode. Look out, or rather watch out for the next episode. Up to that point in time, my name is Gardner. See you on the next one. Bye bye.